Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to The Mob. It is Live with The Mob with Daniel, Kregg, and Joey.
All right, this week we're back. We're live in The Mob. So we don't have our guest this week. We don't have Joey. And, well, we have Kregg. So, Kregg, how are you?
I'm not going to lie, Daniel. I am absolutely still dog-tired, beat down, and it was one heck of a long ride home. That's all I can tell you. And my voice is still a little rough.
Well, I can understand that. I mean, 3 days out in the 104 heat index, or 100-plus heat index, that's quite understandable.
It was it was hot, and I'm going to tell you, I work outside every day all summer long, and this has been the hottest, driest year since 1988. And
Right.
It's our 94 degrees is absolutely nothing compared to 94 degrees in Kentucky. Something about that sun, something about that humidity, it's a killer. And
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how kids even get Christmas gifts down there. I don't even know why Santa makes the trip. I'm telling you, it's horrible.
That bad, huh?
It was hot. I'm not going to lie. The first day, you make the most of it. I brought the Makita cordless fan that helped me tremendously when I was sitting down. I went through probably, I'm guessing, 16 to 18 bottles of water a day myself. I unfortunately didn't have any other adult beverages, so I just drank water. But it was fun. I'll tell you what, it's an awesome event, especially what makes it, if you're going by yourself and you just have a Tri-5, it's okay. But to get together with guys that you chat with and get to meet for the first time is what it's all about.
Wow. Hey, that's what I like to hear. That's what it's all about, getting to meet people.
Yep.
So what were some of the highlights for the Tri-5 Nationals for you?
You know, to be honest, I'm going to straight up and tell everybody this, and we'll probably say it about 6 times tonight. The number one, which a lot of people haven't heard yet because I haven't said too much except for a few guys that were there. So believe it or not, it was Friday night and heading back to the house. And so for those people that didn't know, I didn't stay in a hotel. I rented an Airbnb with Mark Levine
Right.
and Joey Truelove. And so we're heading back. We got out of the show, and I always kind of wait till the little bit end because stop and go traffic, the car doesn't like it in that heat, and it starts to climb a little bit. But
Right.
we're driving fine, and I pull up to this stop sign right in the middle of town. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Bowling Green has a stoplight every 3 blocks. It's ridiculous. But so we pull up, and the best part is these 2 guys pull up next to me, and I don't know what kind of car it was. It was like, a little 4-door Corolla or Saturn or something. I really didn't pay attention. And the guy yells out at me, goes, "Hey." And of course, people yell all the time when you're driving the car because they're like, "Hey, beautiful car. Love that. Is that a 55 or 6?" They always ask that. This guy leans out the window and he says, "Hey, are you the guy from that Tri-5 Mob podcast?"
Yeah.
And I looked over at him, and then I looked at my son, and my son is just grinning ear to ear and can't believe it. And I said, "Yeah, that's me." He goes, "Man, that's why we're here. I caught that podcast, and I didn't know this show was going on this weekend." And so I'm like, "Cool." I gave him the thumbs up, and I drove away. And then I said, "Hold on a minute." I slowed up, and I waved him up, and I handed him some mob stickers out the window. And they were like 2 kids in a candy shop. And it was awesome. And my son, I kept driving away, and my son kept staring. My son kept staring at me, and my wife says to Thomas, she goes, "What's the matter, Thomas?" He's like, "I think my dad's internet famous." And I go, "I don't know about that, but that was my highlight for that's in the top 5 for the highlight the whole weekend, and because it was unbelievable. Because as we're trying to do our best here, and we're doing what we can, and honestly, Dan, I mean, you've come so far in the production quality and what we're doing and getting guests on that to have somebody yell out the window, "Hey, are you the guy from the podcast?" Hell yeah, brother. So it felt pretty good. Um, the second highlight I would say was down when the nice older couple won the car on the last day, because I
Right.
promised people that if I won, I was going to streak, and so I didn't have to do that. So that's probably a highlight for most people, knowing that I didn't have to do that. Um, but the coolest besides that, the fact is, it's such a large group. It's not like one or two friends going to a car show. So when BDO and I go to a car show, there might be one or two other friends you're meeting or that we travel together, but you basically park beside each other and there's no hassle. And I didn't really know, because some guys don't communicate as well as others or on the mob page every day, about how many people are truly mob guys that are coming to the nationals. And so as we're setting up, the first thing I kind of message people like, hey, this is where we parked last time. I think we should do that because there's a little bit of shade out of the way. And we're rolling in, and Brian Reese gets a hold of me and he says, hey, we got parking right inside the gate, right up front. And so we're rolling through. And I'm like, I don't want to leave so-and-so out. I don't want to leave so-and-so out. And I just pulled in, and it was awesome. Right away in the group, we had Eric Feckler and his family. Don Allen and Brian Mashad, Jay Brooks, the Gold Digger, Joey Truelove, Mark Levine,
Right.
and then we ended up having Jed Gage, who's absolutely, him and his wife are true gentlemen and gentlewomen. I don't know how you say it, but just wonderful people. And we started
Who was
with
it
that
brought
group.
the grill?
What's that? That was Tony Davidson. He was a man among men. So, and that's another story in itself. That's another highlight if you want to do it. Um, and so we start setting up canopies, and I don't remember the total count. It was 7 or 8 canopies that we had.
Right.
Eric brought his banner that's behind you. I brought mine, and hung them up from the banners to get out of the sun. Then Don Allen and his wife Elizabeth dropped there. They had a blue tarp for the one side, so we were all out of the shade, and that really helped, because without that, you're dying out there.
Oh yeah.
And we set up the cooler, sat around, and the highlight is it's just talking with everybody. And then all of a sudden, here comes Wendell Blevins and his wife. Now, I met Wendell 2 years ago. He was parked by himself, and they came and parked with us. And another top-notch couple. I really enjoyed talking to Wendell and his wife. And she had a little knee accident out there, so she had some time in the ER one night. So they were a little late one day, but we had parking. So, I mean, it was just around the corner. And I know we're going to, over the next few weeks or few days, we're going to start to see more pictures. I haven't posted even a tenth of the pictures that I took. And I didn't get to take a lot of pictures because, honestly, the heat makes you kind of shut down mentally, because you just start talking and you forget to take pictures of absolutely everything. I see Daniel is watching right now. Daniel, I'm going to say this right. Pagnozzi, beautiful car, 57 with some big meats. He's just a show off. Beautiful street machine there. See what Eric Feckler Jr. here says.
Did he end up getting? Did Daniel Pagazzi get near you guys?
Yeah, on the I believe it was the final day, he came and parked next to Jed Gage, so I was able to, or it was Friday. My days are blurred, I'm going to be honest with you, who was there. But he came by and parked by us. Tom Smith, another guy's been on the mob for a couple of years and hits the like button a lot. You don't realize how nice that guy's car is. It's a 57, and it's orange in color. I believe, I don't know the exact color code, but let's call it orange number 1 today. Absolutely gorgeous. And he's telling the story about his car, and he walks up and goes, hi, I'm Tom Smith. Now, I know the name Tom Smith because he's also a friend on the Facebook, but all I get to see is his picture, because his profile picture is just his face.
Yeah.
And so I look at him and I go,
yeah, that's all we get to
Tom
see.
Smith. I know Tom Smith
until we meet him. Yeah.
And so that was cool. And that's right, Daniel. I see you come on Saturday. You're going to straighten my brain out a little bit. And badass car, nice guy. Got to meet him a little bit. And I mean, the ultimate thing is, no matter who we all meet, and I'm going to go through some names, you don't get to spend enough time with one single person. Like, everybody deserves an afternoon sitting down and getting to know each other. And it's impossible at an event like this, but to shake somebody's hand, put a
Oh.
face to the car, you know, and then every time that I wanted to leave, because I only went around one time, I went to the vendors one time, and then I think I went with Brian Mashad and Jay Brooks on their golf cart for one trip around, and that was all I left, because every time
Mm-hmm.
you left the car, you get a message, hey, so and so's looking for it. Hey, some people stopped to talk to you, and it's flattering, because I'm not the mob. I told this to everybody. I know I'm the administrator on the page. I'm not the mob. It really is a
Right.
group, and
Right.
so, but I had people from Instagram following Instagram page searching me out. One couple, an older couple, came by and they said, hey, our son follows you on Instagram. He couldn't get here because he was stuck working, so he wanted us to come get some stickers.
Oh,
So,
no,
you
that's
know,
cool.
yeah, you know, so I'm like, yep, and I probably had a dozen of those people. And this is what I'm trying to tell the mob people. If you're not on Instagram, get a page set up. It's real easy. Mark Levine's on there now learning. Eric Feckler's on there, you know, learning how to do it. And they say it's like everything. There's a learning curve on how you want to do it.
Oh yeah.
But I don't, I know that it right now on the page, it's 75% my stuff, but I don't want it to be that way, because it's whenever there's a cool picture I've shared, you know, as you've seen, you're on there. So
Yeah.
you've seen me, you shared your picture or video. I've shared other people's, because that's really what it's about.
Right.
And once I get more and more pictures, it'll be like that. So, but I mean, here I'm parking my car next to the gold digger, which
Right.
has turned out absolutely gorgeous. And of course, he's internet famous, right? I mean,
Yeah.
everybody knows this gold digger. Let's not kid ourselves. For about the last 6 weeks, Joey's been putting up the gold digger pictures on every Try Five Facebook page,
Oh
so people
yeah.
are watching for the gold digger.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and you know, so I'm sitting between him and Mark Levine, both hard tops, and here comes Wendell Blevins with the hard top, you know, and I think Tom Smith with a hard top. And anyways, and Jed Gage, I can't say enough about how nice him and his wife are. I want to say they said they're from Arkansas, but someone said they're from Texas, so I'm a little confused at the moment, but I'll learn that. But they've got a hardtop 57 Pro Street, 1,300 horsepower. He
Ooh.
had a little he had a little problems on day one. Something went out, and they were only able to tune it to get 1,200 RPM, so he could basically only idle. So he had a little trouble getting up a hill, and then I believe the Holly guys came over. Someone came over and tuned it and got it back. They found there was a wire that got cut or something, so they got him back running. Um, but
Oh.
that's a mean sounding car. Um, and but you know, it just Jed is from Texas, right? He has land in Arkansas that he might
Okay.
move to. That's right. Thank you, Junior. We're racking my brain here. Awesome. So, but you're sitting there meeting people, and then there's of course just the average person that wants to come by and say hi, meet your car, and as we're walking through the crowds, you know, a lot of the guys had the mob shirts on. I brought shirts for guys, which I'm going to show people tonight that weren't there. And even like my wife, and I know Brian Mashad's wife, Trudy, are walking through the crowd at different times. And my wife's like, God, it's funny because you heard
Right.
people saying, did you see guys up on the corner? That whole corner was the Tri Five mob. What is that? And, you know,
Yeah.
and it's like, it's going to grow organically. We're growing and people are knowing it. And there was a guy in a golf cart 2 years ago. There was I want to say abandoned golf cart, but there was a golf cart sitting in the vendor area. So for the hell of it, I put a 10-inch sticker on the windshield, and
Yeah.
he was driving around with it on, and Brian Machado and I drove by, and I go, Try Five Mob, and he just looks at us. He has no idea what they were talking about, a sticker, and I put that on 2 years ago. Um,
Yeah.
you know, but you know, it just there's so much to talk about and whatnot. But I can tell you, the 13-hour car drive down is not fun. It's a long
No.
ways. Um, I let Mark borrow my son to keep him busy because Mark was all alone, so Thomas hopped in with him.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, and you know, it's just one of those things. It's a long ways to drive, but I absolutely love driving through Southern Illinois and Indiana. American flags absolutely everywhere, and just like your true farmland, what you expect to see, which is hard to see up
Yeah.
where I'm at nowadays because things have changed. Um, but you know, so I mean, everybody. Terry Kennedy, I see he's on here. You know, obviously I was looking for Terry. I hopped on the golf cart, which by the way, if you go to nationals, now a few years ago I had what was called a bar stool scooter, and I made a friend of mine help me weld it and do all this work. It was basically a 6 horsepower go-kart that's on a bar stool frame, so it's a bar stool racer.
Right.
That would have been ideal for this event, but I had sold that because that's where I got $1,000 back to pay for Chevy parts 4 years ago. But if you don't have a golf cart and you're thinking of going, get a golf cart or something, because to walk around in that heat is absolutely ridiculous.
Oh, I bet.
I hopped on the golf cart and I went around and I saw, stopped with the Suttons, saw Thomas, man among men, of course, as usual, and him, his brother Jesse, and his wife. And I'm not sure if it's a dad or an uncle or who's there. I know it's not his dad, but an uncle or a friend who's there with him. But I remember meeting him last time, just not good with names right now.
Right.
Selling parts. Terry Kennedy's back selling parts. And Terry Kennedy still belongs to the mob because he did roll with his daughter's pink 57 on top of his Tahoe. So, that counts as mob right there. It was his uncle. Thank you, Lincoln.
Oh, that's all right.
So, you're rolling through looking at parts and obviously I don't need to go buying parts. Actually, I should have because there's a couple I needed, but, going through that, catching some of the race cars. I didn't catch a lot of the drag races, but I'll skip ahead. I mean, there's 1,000 things to talk about, but something that I get passionate when I talk about my car, especially whenever I have problems, because it always works its way out. But I go over, Joey starts driving away because he's like, hey, I'm gonna go load up, man. I'm gonna go get in line at the staging, and I'm like, shit, I gotta go,
Yeah.
And so I hop on his 4-wheeler to go over there. He's nice enough to let me drive the 4-wheeler, and so I go over there and meet him and watch him. And I don't go to drag races up here. I don't have time. We have the Brainerd International Speedway. We have Cedar Creek, there's a couple places. I just don't go because it's always on a day like I'm busy or something else is involved. And I should make a point, but honestly, if you don't know somebody, it's not as much fun, I don't think, for me. And so Joey gets in line, and I know for a fact that Joey's not out to set the world record because it's going to be his 4th pass at all in this car. Then it's going to be his 5th and 6th. So I know he's just testing and learning how to use it, and he'd like to do a good rip. And but I'm sitting there on his first run, and I'm man enough to tell you guys this. So get up on his first run, and he lines up against a 56 and or is it 50? No, 57. Sorry. Pro Street looking thing, loud as hell. I don't know what it's got for a motor, but I think it's got a Pro Charger. I'm not sure, but you could hear it anyway. So he gets up there, and I don't know what to expect. And Joey can't do a burnout because there's not enough water on the track to do a burnout for Joey.
Water
he's just
in the burnout box.
Yep, not enough in the burnout box. So his line lock's not working good enough. It's just he's pushing his tires. So he gets up there, and I mean, he's barely even revving this motor. He's just putting up to the line, and the other guy's just blasting loud, whop, 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 just hitting the hammer, the line, and it goes. Joey gets him at the light, and I don't even remember what do you call it, the 2-step or whatever, because I couldn't hear anything. I was just so
where
into
it's
the moment.
popping and banging. Yeah, that's on the 2-step.
And I know in Joey's eyes, he left slow. I know he ran slow for Joey, right?
Right.
But he gets out in front of this guy in the video, and watching in person, obviously, too. But he gets out in front of him right away. And I'm like, oh, he got the jump. And I expected it to be a race. And Joey just walks him. And I think Joey came in at like 11-1 or something like that. And Joey pedaled it at halfway down. You could hear him letting off. He was just coasting through. But he was straight as an arrow. And my wife looks at me. And I got watery eyes and kind of a tear in my eyes. And I can't even get chilled now because I had goosebumps up and down my arms. And she goes, what the hell's the matter with you? And I go, I've been watching this car for 3 years. I've gotten to know Joey. And to say that my first drag race since I was 8 years old, that I got to see the digger run, and it wasn't a blazing, smoking, fast run, but it just meant something because I got to be there, right? So then I hop down on, and I run over to him in the staging lanes, and we're chatting. He does a little tune, and then we get some pick. He goes back up for his second run. And the second run, the little 56 gets like a 5-foot jump on him. and then Joey just hauls ass away from him. And once again, it's an 11-second pass, which most guys in the world would be happy to do a 12-second pass in any car. And Joey's pedaling half the way down, and
Right.
he can't get traction because he's not doing a burnout. And so, I'm sure that he would say that there is some disappointment or whatever, but he's testing and he's learning. I mean, this is going to be a 5-second car in the 8th mile when he's done, so he ain't too worried. And then he gets over. We take some pictures with the women next to the car, and I'll be posting more of this. And this kid comes up, and he starts talking to me like I know him. And kid's 18 years old, and he's talking to me, and I look at him. I said, he knew everything about the mob. And I go, do I know you? He goes, oh yeah, I follow you on Instagram. I'm Alex Carby. And I'm like, well, I know the name Alex Carby because I follow him back, and he posts, and I like, and he likes my posts.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy shit. And then he knows the digger. So we had to go talk to Joey, and all of a sudden it's just like, how did this kid know us? And whatever, he saw us, and he comes up to us, and once again, that's another highlight, right? And I'm like, that's just so freaking cool. So, and then I started thinking, God, I wish my car pinion angle was right on the Leafs, because I'd do a fun run, because it looks so much fun to go down the track one time.
Yeah.
So, but then Joey had his third run, and I go out there, and I said to the guy, I walked right on the track. I said, hey, make this a lake. I said, we need a lot of water. I said, the gold car needs a water. His tires are too sticky, and he can't get a burnout. The guy said, yeah, no problem. So they asked Joey to go to the left lane instead of the right lane, and Joey said, yeah, no problem, whatever. And guy goes, squirt, that's it. Absolutely nothing. And so once again, Joey couldn't do a decent burnout. So he's now up against a pretty fast car. I can't remember the name of it, but it's a pretty decent car. And he walks Joey, and Joey just spins. He can't hook up, so he just keeps it safe, because why bother trying to put it in the wall, right? So and then we get back, and we're talking about it, and he's going to do a 4th run, and here comes the rain. And he's like, he's going to get in the car, and I'm like, I got to get back and make sure my windows are closed, even though we got guys at the tent that stepped up and closed everything. But I'm on his 4-wheeler, got my hat backwards, my shades on, I'm soaking wet, and the raindrops are the size of golf balls hit, and I'm like, oh my God. And everybody in front of me, like there was a Ford truck, windows up, air conditioning on, and they're putting 2 miles an hour to look at cars in the rain. And I bang on the back of this guy's car, and I'm like, move the F over, right? And so I'm taking Joey's, I'm spinning around the corners because I need to get back. And thanks to the guys who shut the windows and the trunk and everything, so the car was basically fine. That's a highlight. And but it's just an experience. I didn't really eat enough food, and yet I ate. So we'll talk about food. So
So food. What'd you guys have? I mean, was it burgers and hot dogs, or was there kind of?
Well, I mean, they obviously sell a lot of stuff at the convenience stuff. There's if you want to go to the vendors, and I didn't get anything at the vendors this time at all, because I couldn't leave, because every time I left, hey, so and so is looking for you. Hey, every time I'd walk out to the car, people have questions, and so. What the neat part of this is, 2 years ago, I'm walking by a 55 Chevy Post, and it's a patinaed old race car. It's got all the graphics on it from, I believe, the 60s. And I meet the guy's name's Tony. So I'm talking to him, and of course I'm mob proud, so I'm like, give him a sticker. Hey, check us out, whatever. And he joins the mob, and I'll be honest, and him and I talked about it, a little bit quiet. Doesn't post a lot here or there, but he is, if for the people that don't know, he's the one that posts up pictures, because he makes front ends or couches out of front ends. So anyways, a couple of days before I leave for the Nationals, he reaches out to me and calls me, and he says, hey, I want to cook for the mob. Where are you guys going to park? And I told him, I said, kind of up where we did last time, wherever, I'm not sure. It all depends where you get. And he goes, all right, well, I got a grill made out of a 55 Chevy front end, and I want to, and he's all Southern, he's talking to me, and it's like, okay. And so this guy steps up on day 2, rolls up, he's got the tent, he parks right across the road from us and starts grilling hamburgers and hot dogs. And the hamburgers, he was doing them in the shape of the Chevy logo, which is kick-ass, right? And he's going to correct me if I'm wrong. He's a man among men. He's self-proclaimed 340 pounds, and he's all love. I mean, this is a big dude, and he's grilling. The grill is basically a trailer that's a 55 Chevy front
Right.
end, and then it's got a job box, like a steel construction job box, is the fire pit itself, and then the back end.
Oh.
I want to say it was like a 56-7 pickup that was the back end. I can't remember for sure, but so it was fully closable. You put all your stuff in the back side of it, close it, lock it, travel, right?
Right.
And so when you close the hood of it, it basically kind of looked like I want to say a Hillborn injection with the exhaust stacks and stuff.
Yeah.
And so, but that guy stepped up. His family was great, and just couldn't believe it. And so we chatted for a long time, and like he says, like a lot of guys do, they watch the mob, they read the mob, they don't hit the like button. And so this is where I tell people, we used to really encourage participation. There was a day on this page where if you didn't participate for a couple months, we kicked you off because I want participation. But I realized that a lot of people aren't on here every day. A lot of people don't have that kind of time. And some people are introverted. Some people are shy, whatever it is. So he's like, man, he was telling me he had so much fun with us that he's going to participate more and this and that. And I said, hey, just be here, man. You know, I really want to hear from people. I would like getting to know people. Like you and I have gotten to know each other on a certain level. And what's nice about him is even on the last day, so we're all there. And I kind of did a live video of sitting at the gates just as people are going. My voice was gone like it still is. And he says, we're getting ready to go. And he gives me a big hug. And he says, love you, brother. And I said, hey, safe travels. And he looks at me and says, you're not from the South, are you? Because down here, if I say I love you, brother, you better say it back. And so that big bear made me hug him again, and I said it, and it's just you know, honestly, we all need more of that in all parts of life, just not the car club,
most
right?
Definitely.
And so it's like, I love you, brother. All right, cool. You know, because the only other Southern saying I know is, well, bless their heart, which we know isn't a great saying because it's usually a sarcastic thing, but the guy stepped up. So we had I had the vinyl garage banner that we've had for a few years. I had an extra one I brought with, and it wasn't all mobsters. Not all mobsters signed it because once again we're all over the place and coming and going, but a good number of it, you know, a dozen or two guys signed it with a silver Sharpie, and I put it on the app on my phone. And so Eric Feckler came over and I hit the roulette. It's kind of like a roulette app. So I entered everybody's name, and I hit the button, and to everybody that signed the banner and bought a T-shirt or a sticker or whatever, and I gave stickers away. I was giving air fresheners away, you name it. But I entered their name, and Tony came up. How fitting was that the guy hits the burgers, you know, does the burgers and the dogs for us. We ponied up a little money for him at the end because he deserved that, and he won the banner. And honestly, you can tell a look on the guy's face because when I walked over to him, I'd already put it in his car. I said, hey, look at the dash in your car. He couldn't believe it. He was like, no, you're kidding me. Well, no, you're kidding me. Because when he walked up the first day there, he saw the banner. He goes, man, I got to have that for my garage. Because he is Tri-5 through and through. He buys and sells parts. He makes benches and grills out of Tri-5 parts. And so super nice meeting him again and connecting even closer. And so that's a highlight, you know. Like I said, you could say the whole weekend's a highlight, but it mushes together. I got, you know, getting caught in the rain, not the best thing with these cars because you know how many times do I want to sit and polish a car over a weekend, right? But at the end of the day, the highlight is just realizing that people are talking about us. We had a lot of good camaraderie.
Well, yeah, that's the main thing is having
when it started to really down. When it started to rain and the announcer said, grab your canopies and get them lowered because some winds were coming in, you know, and I think we had at this time 5, 6, or 7 canopies. I can't remember. We all pull them down. So there's my canopy that's 3.5 feet off the ground at the edge of it. And I got to get underneath it, you know, but I get underneath it and here's a dozen people and it's just like you're camping in a rainstorm. It was no big deal. Cars are going to get wet. Who cares?
Right.
You know, now my trunk lid was not closed. It was closed, but it wasn't latched. So the rain puddled in the gutter and dripped in, but big deal. I've got the Rhino liner in the trunk, so it doesn't matter to me. It
Yeah.
just got to dry the carpet out. But other than that, that was the biggest deal. And but we're sitting there, Brian Reese is sitting there smoking a cigar. I'm sitting there just drinking water, eating some smoked pretzels, and there was nobody complaining. Yeah, it sucks that it's at a car show because you want to be out and about and getting your tan on or whatever you want to do. But that was honestly some of the highlight because you get to just kid around, have some jokes. Chatting with Wendell Blevins was, I found, just absolutely fun. Such a nice guy, and his wife, beautiful wife.
Right.
Don Allen and his wife Elizabeth and Tracy and the Fecklers, just everybody. Of course, you feel like inside that, God, I only spent 5 minutes with this person. I spent a half hour over here. You can't look at it that way because it's a group. And that's the hardest thing. The worst part about it is, I would say, the fact that there was no host hotel this year. So if you've been to the Nationals before, if you haven't, I'll tell you, the host hotel was the Holiday Inn. So if you got rooms at the Holiday Inn, that was awesome
Right.
because you just came basically parked. Because the one rule that I have is I will not drink and drive. That's one thing I won't do. It's too valuable to me.
Right.
I made the promise when I built this car that I would never even have a beer and drive, and that's my personal preference. I don't care about anybody else. But
Yeah.
so now there's, with no host hotel, there was no real big gathering. So everybody kind of went to this hotel, that hotel, but there was no big gathering. They tried to have a place at the Hot
Yeah.
Rod
So
Hideaway.
nobody really knew like where the get together was going to be or what,
Yep.
Nobody kind of like, hey, we're going to go here. It was just kind of like, well, all right, we're all here, I guess.
Yep. And so you didn't have that. So, and we went out to eat. We had a couple of nice evenings at the Montana Grill. Very good
Mm-hmm.
food. But the second night, I want to say Friday night, it was 3 hours to get in, get your food, get out, and you really, honestly,
I'm
at
sure.
that point you should have just gone to Subway, grabbed a sandwich because it's just about getting out, and where else can we go to see people? And by that
Right.
time, we made ourselves over to the Ramada Inn, which is where I might encourage everybody to get rooms next year, and I'll tell you why. But they have a courtyard, and they have a nice sized pool,
Right.
and they have 2 outdoor pavilions with grills, so it could easily house 100 people. And I'm like, you know what? If that's one thing to encourage, instead of everybody waiting to the last minute, just like me, and we stayed at a wonderful house. It was about 15 minutes out, so it was kind of a fun drive, but we're away from the fun. And so with no host hotel, if we can say, hey, members, let's all go to the Ramada, or just remember every night we're going to meet at the Ramada to have grill out, set out the lawn chairs, because there was pavilions. And if you want to do some swimming, you can swim till 10 o'clock. You cool off.
Right.
And so I went over there and met up with Brian Machad and his wife Trudy, the long hauler, Jason Lawson. He was there just chilling my pool. I walked, I didn't have a swimsuit, but I went down to my knees on the steps and got in the pool and cooled my feet off. And that was awesome. I was like, this is, they got a bar restaurant connected right to the place. Maybe the rooms aren't as top notch as others, but this courtyard, and it had prime parking for trucks and trailers and everything. I'm like, this is what you do. This is where we could go. And that's something to plan if we're going to do it, because then you don't have to worry about spending that much time during the day talking to people, because you're going to go back to the mob, hang out at the Ramada maybe,
Yeah.
So it's, it's a learning curve, because obviously a lot of people haven't been there, and this is my second time, and I still don't know everything about it, obviously. But like I said, you're sitting there talking to one person, and like I'm talking to you, and right here I feel 3 people staring at me because they walked up to the car,
Yeah.
and they know me from Instagram, or they're another mob member, Robert Hedrick. I want to say his name, Hedrick. He's on the page. He stopped by. I don't know where he parked, but he made a point to come on over, get a T-shirt, and talk. He's got the 56 orange. I want to call it a gasser, but he said he was going to run. I never did get a chance to see if he ran because it rained on that class, I believe.
Right.
And Brent Laverne, I walked by his car a couple of times, but he wasn't there, and I wasn't at mine. Another one was, John Rovit the second, Hrovit, John Rovit II. He's been in the mob for a long time. Nice, quiet guy. beautiful 57 convertible. And one of the things that I wanted to do is I always like to get a mob style picture when you guys will see them standing in front of your car all mobbed out. And
Yeah.
I got a few of them, but the rain came, so I couldn't keep getting pictures. And unfortunately, I waited till the last day because it was so damn hot the first 2 days
Oh yeah.
that I didn't feel like doing that. But
Most
um,
definitely.
absolutely. But the one thing I learned is some of the vendors are there, but they don't give a crap about you. And I won't name names on here, but I had some questions about some of my parts and if there was things I could do to improve them, such as a transmission. The people I bought my transmission from were there, and now my transmission is fine, but I had some questions, and every time I posed a question, oh, we've never heard of that before. No, I've never had that problem before. Nope, send it in. We'll take a look at it.
Well,
No, I'm not sending it in. And I
the
went
other
over to
the other thing that you got to remember
CPP.
about the
Go ahead.
the other thing you got to remember about the jockeys that come there, uh, they're they're more sales kind of people. They're not necessarily the people that are your tech, you know, tech line
Right.
guys. I mean, they might have one or two guys there that are tech line savvy, but for the most part, the guys that go to those shows are, you know, they're more your, and I'm not even going to say they're actually like your sales guys that, you know, you phone in and you talk to them and, hey, I'm buying this transmission. You know, they're
Yep.
kind of more the office people that, you know, hey, go to this show, represent the company, and you know, here's this little pamphlet, you know, get it informed on the pamphlet. And that's, unfortunately, that's all the more that those guys are informed. And I
Right.
have a friend, you know, a couple friends that work for different, you know, whether it be you know, a J named or an S named, you know, big box aftermarket parts store. But they said, you know, when they go to that kind of stuff, they just send, you know, office personnel that are, you know, maybe a little bit knowledgeable about products that they have on the truck that week, and that's, you know, that's who they
Yep.
send.
Well, and I'm not an electrician when it comes to cars. I know very little, and I'm learning as I go. So, Jason Lawson, as I met him out there, I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
tell you what. I know I met him last time, but it was a 2 minute passing type deal. How you doing? Great to meet you. Boom. Everybody goes their ways. This time, I made a point. We went to the Ramada, sat down and talked with him, and he came and sat in the tent after. I gotta tell you, we're in the tent. It's raining cats and dogs. I'm just kind of laughing, and the cars honestly look so pretty in the rain that you got to take a couple
Oh
pictures because
yeah.
it's just glistening. And I look up the hill, and from where we are, you saw the main gates. There's the house roof and the two main gates, and here comes this gorilla in the mist, right? Walking slow, just this manly slumber coming through, and it's just a foggy haze. And as he gets closer, I'm like, well, "There's Lawson," and he don't care that it's raining. He's soaking wet. He's just walking, pulling his cooler, having a good old time, and it's just I posted a couple of pictures up of him, and I mean, it just the personality uh, and everything about that was just it was just awesome because that's truly what it's about. Not giving a crap about the water, and
Right.
it just and wearing the mob shirt, which is killer. I might have to bring back the old black mob shirts because that was killer on them, but it was just he sat down and there we're sitting down talking, and it just the conversation, no matter how many Facebook posts you read or different opinions of this or that, just to put the voice to the face and the person itself is so much fun. And getting a little history, talking about why he moved, and how he moved there, and it's just killer. And that's, I mean, honestly, you come down to that's what it's about. And I don't know if I can handle that heat to move south, but that's what it's about. And I mean, it's just
Right.
what the highlights is. You ask one question, it's just going to keep parlaying into the next highlight because that's what it is. One of the things that I'll bring up is, I ran into Fiano Guzzo, who used to be in the mob, and
Right.
we've been talking for a little while, if you want to call it mending fences or whatever, but having good conversations. And I got to meet him in person. I think he was 5'2", maybe not, but he kept For some reason, he kept making me stand on the downward side of the hill. I'm not sure why. So he said I was hurting his neck. It was kind of funny, but absolutely enjoyed meeting him. Super cool.
Because he had to look up to you.
You know, super fun. I was asking him questions. And of course, for the people that don't know, he's the guy that's been doing a lot of the extra work right now. Yeah, there you go. Perfect picture right there.
Yeah.
The what do I want to say? You know, he's been the guy that's been helping Steve Cox on his 57 do the body work right now.
Right.
And doing a fantastic job and whatnot. So I think in a couple, 2-3 weeks or something, when we're ready, we'll have him on here to talk about his Try Five Guy YouTube channel. He's doing pretty good. I think he's about 2,500 subscribers and viewers over there, however you say it. And I've been watching it, and he's fairly entertaining. And if nothing else, we're going to laugh at him because he's probably going to have language like we should have in life, and he's got a great accent. So what the hell? But he is a knowledgeable person at the end of the day when it comes to Try Fives and putting them together. Of course, he is the one that won the 57 gasser a couple years ago. So, but it was hilarious. See, I should have sent you a bunch of pictures so you could post them up as we talk about this. But it's you know, you go through it, and it's just the whole highlight is just meeting the guys and, you know, talking about your car.
And that's what I think. What I think is the best part is getting to meet people, you know, getting to talk to them, you know, getting to know them, you know.
Yep. And so, you know, and then the other thing, so for people that don't know, because I'm going to list this up. Now, these are a little wrinkled from being in the old suitcase and haven't been washed yet. So I don't know if this will come through right. So make sure I have this right. This is what the front of the shirt looked like this year, same as it did 2 years ago. Tell me if that's right, Danielle. Is that looking right? So that's the front of the national shirt that I had printed up with the new year. And then so the back of it, it says, keep the wheels spinning and the girls grinning, Try Five Mob. Something nice for the family, right?
Right.
So people were commenting, loving that t-shirt. Oh my God, did you have special t-shirts printed for this? They couldn't believe that. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Well, that's the one we went with. Now this one I cut the sleeves off because once again it was hot out there. So I'm going to put these up, and I'm going to put them on the Teespring store because a lot of guys want this one. Now, it's the same on the front as before. Try Five Mom National, same logo. And on the back, for kids that close your eyes if you don't want, but it basically says if you don't like Try Fives, then fuck you. So, and everybody as I only printed a couple of them because I didn't know what the reception was going to be on it, you know, for people. I gave one to Joey and one to Mark Clavine, my housemates. And I had people coming up, pat me on the shoulder. Where do I get a shirt like that? High-fiving. And that basically says it all right there, brother. So, you know, something a little more on the edge like it should be. That was fun. So I'm going to put those in the Teespring store so guys can order those up. I do have a few stickers left over that I'll probably be sending out if guys want. Just pay the shipping. Let's get them out there because I don't need a bunch of 2021 stickers, that's for sure. But the highlights just keep going. And like you said, it is simply, it's just simply about meeting the guys. So I see Chad Buzzo has a question. So, Chad, to answer your question, what happened to the rundown, the quarter and course and the tour? So here's what happened. As everybody knows, because I made the post before I went that I screwed up my leaf springs. So at the end of the day, I had the old springs re-arched and I put them in the car, and I knew that if I had them re-arched, so the car was going to sit a little higher. Right now it sits about 1 3/4 inches, 1.5 inches, depending what's in it, higher than it was before. But I didn't get to test drive it before I went down there. I did leave the traction bars loose so they're on the car and so they could articulate, did everything that way. But there is a whine coming out of the pinion, absolutely crazy. because my pinion angle changed from how they bent it, whether they put more arch in the front of the spring or more arch in the back, however it was, it's not right. So I didn't feel like hammering on the car, and I should have left well enough alone and let it rub the frame for an extra week because it wouldn't have mattered and I could have done everything. The second reason is, Chad, is because up in here in Minnesota, I don't have that much of an overheating problem anymore. The other problem is just driving in the show, I was hitting 203 to 210. And the pavement, I got the digital thermometer point and shoot deal. At the
Right.
stoplights on town, I was running about 210, and I'm not too worried about 210. I know guys, that's nothing. But it's something to keep an eye on. The pavement I reached out with my arm and I could feel it, so I put the gun on the pavement, and the pavement was like 189 degrees. You know,
Oof.
it's smoking hot. So I thought, Chad, honestly, I really wanted to do the run down there, but I didn't. Obviously, once I hit third gear, I had a really bad whine, and fourth and fifth gear just got worse in the rear end. But I also thought I'll never make it 3 laps on the road course without overheating, because they want you to do it a little bit for time, especially on the straightaways. Now, Lance Heinrich, who is Brian Reese's stepbrother, who got his car together for this, all patinaed and everything. I don't know too many specs on it. He did the road course in his, and he said he was getting up to 80 on the straights. And I'm going to be honest, if I could do 3 laps, I might have been pushing the limit. I don't know. And I guess I'll have to wait a couple next year to do it. Sounds like fun. The sad part is they only had 7 cars do it. So I obviously wasn't the only one who thought the same thing, because at 98 degrees, it's not optimal to be running these cars on the track and doing it. To do the quarter mile, yeah, I would have done the quarter mile if my pinion angle wasn't humming, but it's always something. And I am not a race car driver. I'm not a mechanic. I'm learning as I go, and I screwed up because I thought we could just add some arch, but obviously my springs were arched a little differently or whatever. I'm going to have to do some shimming or figure something out. So that's why I didn't do that, but it would have been fun. Like I said, only 7 cars did it. So, God, if the weather would have been cool and the car would have worked and we could have got 7 guys from the mob, we would have ruled the damn thing, There you go. That's sitting up on blocks. Thanks, buddy. But
Well, I'm talking about your suspension, so.
Yep, no, lesson learned. I mean, I was rubbing the frame, so I had to do something. Could I have waited till after the Nationals? Yes, I could have put a finger load of grease on the spring where it was rubbing the frame so there's no squeaky noise, and it would have been just fine. But didn't do it, so lesson learned, I screwed up. But like I said, it just keeps going. And like I said, I did talk to a couple vendors who are really cool, because some of these rod and custom places follow me on Instagram, which once again is I like to post other people's cars on there too. It's not supposed to be about me. But I'm walking by with the mob shirt, and now I'm going to forget it, but a rod and custom place, I believe out of Texas, and he's like, hey, try 5 mob. I walk over, we recognize each other's stuff. Hey, shake his hand. He does nice work. Give him a sticker. I go on to the next guy, so it's just, it was that way when we walk around. That's why I couldn't walk around, because I kept getting stopped.
You keep running into people,
Yep,
So, yeah.
But this is going to keep growing, because even in the last few days, we've gotten like 45. Where was that picture taken? Oh, that was last year. Yeah, that was last year. Roosters.
Don't know.
So you can show them the stance that I'm supposed to have. Thanks. That's the stance I miss. But, we're going to get, like I said, to get out there and just have some fun, and meeting people. And like I said, when you got other people, Trudy Johnson, Brian or Trudy Machad, Brian's wife, was walking around and she heard people talking about the mob. She goes, oh, that looks so cool. The banners are cool. Wonder who they are. Wonder where they are. And I know we like to keep this closed and small. We got 300 people on the mob, but we've got 100 people in waiting now that have applied to be in the mob. And there's a few good guys that we're going to let in and then kind of filter our way through. And please, if you invite somebody because you think they're good material and you think they're going to be a fit, if you invite them, message me or message Eric or Chris, because that's what's going to get them in, because we're getting so many people. And I don't want this to be 1,000 people of nobodies. I'd rather have 300 people of somebody's, if that makes sense.
Right.
So
Right.
especially now that we got the Try 5 Talk with the Mob going famous. So,
Yeah.
but that's, at the end of the day, it truly is about the group of guys. And I'm so glad that I started the group. I'm so glad that we're doing this. I'm so glad of who we've brought together, because it's just such an awesome group of people. And we all come from different backgrounds, from carpentry to chefs to barbecue guys to body guys to you name it. But nobody knows anything about drive lines. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
But I gotta figure some stuff out. But we're gonna get these T-shirts up on the Teespring store. I did sell out of T-shirts. I know there's a few guys that want them, so I'm gonna get them on the Teespring store, so you guys can order up the new ones with the new sayings, and we'll see how they go, and get some stickers sent out. So that's about it. But I mean, I could go on and on about the highlights. The cutouts, people love the cutouts. I can tell you, driving in, when you open up the cutouts, here's what you don't do. I go through the gates, and I'm trying to be respectful to the Dan, Chuck, and Woody's guys that are running it, right?
Right.
So we're going through the gates. So as soon as I get in, it's kind of a downward hill. Everybody stand out. I open up the cutouts. And honestly, my car gets as loud as any gasser coming through now. Super loud, yeah. Heads turn, getting the head shakes. Got the old guy who's got the shakes, giving the thumbs up. Yeah, this is awesome. And the thing about what I have is with the Phytech fuel injection, you have to give it a little bit of time to learn, because you just changed the fuel curve. You opened up the exhaust.
Right.
And so it goes, because you open it up, it's free flowing, so it gets a little bit lean. So now it's going to over adjust and get rich for just a few seconds.
Right.
And then I don't know the time, but let's just say it takes a minute or two. Well, so I come in the gate, and a couple revs, and a guy in front of me stops, and by God, if it just dies, because it just flooded out. I'm like, oh God.
Oh,
So
no.
I put the clutch in, and I coasted 100 yards. I was in stealth mode. It was just beautiful, like the quietest car you've ever heard. And then I had to crank, and then it started, because I've done it before and felt like an idiot, and just backed it into the spot. And that was another thing Tony said, because as we were saying goodbye, I'm getting in my car. He goes, "Hey man, I heard you got cutouts. I want to hear them, brother." And so I started up, and I rolled right out with the cutouts, and it's fun. That's the toy part of it all. But it's when you come next year, if you go next year, like you're talking to me today, we'll go again. You're going to race, and True Love will be back, and he'll be in shape, because he'll have all the bugs worked out, and I hopefully have all the bugs worked out, and we're just going to have fun with that. And hopefully I can get, if BDO doesn't want to come down, at least I can have BDO ride with me or something, so he can do it. He'd be all over that place. He'll walk 100 miles. He'll bitch about the heat, but he'll walk it, and he'll sit at that, at the grandstands and watch, and people run, and it's just so interesting. But you got a time like with Joey True Love, like I told him, Dave, I got a little teary-eyed watching, because I've been waiting for 3 years just to see the car do something. Yeah, it's not even close to it's not even close to what you can get, but
but it's getting to see it, getting to be there.
I followed it, and you guys will see the videos. Like, I followed it, so this is how it gets. So I'm following into the show on Saturday, and so I'm videoing. Well, it's hard to video, steer, and work a stick shift, and I didn't have my camera mounts going, and I'm doing it. I did like 3-4 videos, and I set the camera down on my seat, and what does Joey do then? Takes off. It'll, whoa, takes off. Like, God damn it, missed that one. But you're following. He's burning that E85 or whatever he's burning, his high test fuel, and so you can smell that. And it's amazing, because when he's idling through traffic at 30 miles an hour, you can smell that fuel, right? It's a distinct fuel. But when he gets on it, it's a totally different smell.
Totally different smell.
Yep, it's totally different. I'm like, so that's something I learned. And of course, Mark Levine was behind me. And I'm going to tell you, here's something very important. If you're going to the shows, I do this. Mark Levine has learned to do this because of me. If you're following somebody that has a stick shift and it's uphill at the stop sign, don't stop on their bumper, right? So
yes.
I'm sure I burned some life out of my clutch on 2 of them. So I like when I leave the show, I like when Mark's behind me because he knows to give me 30 feet because I'm trying to ease into stuff and I don't want to be dropping the clutch, right? And so we're leaving on Friday night. I think it's Thursday or Friday night, whatever it was. And this F350 gets in between us. And the roads are like this, right? And we come to a stop sign and the guy pulls right up on me. So, I mean, I can't feel my left foot the way it is. So I'm like, and burn the clutch, take off.
You didn't hurt it that bad.
I could be more practicing, but I'm overly worried about smacking the guy behind me. I don't give a crap about his truck. I don't want to hurt the car, right? And so even Mark knows this because when he pulls up behind me, he always stops 20 minutes short. So anyways, we could talk for hours about this, but I want to say a sincere thank you to everybody that was at the show that made a point to come and see me. The guys that couldn't get over or I missed them, I'm sorry, but there's going to be a time next year. And obviously we got to plan it ahead of time to say, we're going to get this hotel. Let's get the guys over here because then you can do whatever you want during the day because we're all going to hook up at night and hang out. And I think that's the awesome part. Unless the Tri-5 Nationals decides to find a new host hotel or something, which I don't know if they would, but we'll figure it out because it really was not the same without the host hotel having 2,500 cars at night because that's what it's about. Burnouts, the city shut it down because of burnouts, and I get the safety issue, but come on, this is what it's at. So we'll have fun. And Daniel, next year when you're there, we will all toast it. And I also couldn't help but think that how fun it would have been with Mike Hummel had made it down for the trip.
Yeah, most definitely.
So
most
and
definitely.
Terry Bledsoe will be there next year.
Yeah, hopefully.
Because he will be there next year. Bob Lavoie says he's going to be there. So, and I know Jason Lawson's going to be there because he's the road warrior. And Gorilla in the Mist, the road warrior. other than that, most, like I said, everybody got along. Wives were loud and talking. What else can you say? Good times.
Yeah, sounds like a great time. Sounds like I missed out a lot. I hope to make it next year. And I hate to, cut it short, but we're really approaching an hour there for tonight when when we were kind of texting earlier, we only kind of really talked that we were going to do like a half hour or so. And,
but
conversation.
It happens every week. But you know what? When you're internet famous like we are now, you can do that.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you for joining in tonight, Kregg. Even though our guest kind of had other issues come up tonight, so we couldn't exactly make it. So, anyways,
but it was awesome.
Yeah, thanks for joining me. Thanks for everybody out in the mob for watching, and those of you watching on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys next week. Have a good one.
Absolutely. Later, guys.
Later. Thanks for tuning in to Live in the Mob with your hosts, Daniel, Kregg, and Joey. Special thank you to our background designer, Chad Reynolds. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you again next week.